Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be here for the invitation to speak at this prestigious symposium, a joint session of the American Heart Association and the Israeli Heart Society. I was assigned to talk about the Israeli innovation ecosystem in cardiology, the startup nation, a state-of-the-art as of 2016. These are my conflicts, but I can promise you they would have no impact upon the content of this talk. Now, if you happen to fly from Israel recently, or even come to Israel, you would have passed through this corridor. This is probably the most visible corridor in the country of Israel, because it leads to the main terminal. And you might have noticed these pictures. This is an exhibition, and if you come a little bit closer, you see that this is an exhibition of the Israeli discoveries and developments that influence the world. Now you can see here some of the innovations. This is a robotic system for spine surgery. This is the rewalk technology for paralyzed person. This is scaffolds for the heart, and this is, yes, this is a discom key, which is another Israeli invention. So Israel is known for being the Holy Land. We all know that for thousands of years, but it's also known to be the startup nation. There are many publications. This is a very classic book that was written a few years ago, The Story of the Israel Economic Miracle by Dan Senor and Saul Singer. So this is a very known phenomenon. Israel has become a powerhouse of innovation based on the fact that we are the first in the world for the number of startup companies per capita, over 4,000 high-tech companies just in Israel. This is a country where we are the first for medical device patents per capita, 4 for biopharma, second for availability of qualified scientists and engineers per capita, and fourth in the world in biotechnology investments per our GDP. This is a critical backbone of Israel's economy over the last 20 or 25 years. We invest in our country in R&D 4.2% of the GDP. Just to give you a perspective, in the US the investment is 2.7%, in the UK is 1.7%, so 4.2% is considered a very high number, one of the highest proportion in the world. And also the high-tech scene is responsible to around 50% of the export of services and goods from Israel to the rest of the world. Now, if you don't believe me, listen to these testimonials. Can we have the sound? Let's go back. Can we have the sound?
Israel is, by many measures, the country relative to its population that's done the most to contribute to the technology revolution.
Now, when you look at the NASDAQ, companies are listed from around the world. There's one country, though, that truly stands out, and that is Israel.
If you go to the Middle East looking for oil, you don't need to stop in Israel. But if you go looking for brains, for energy, for integrity, you know, it's the only stop you need to make in the Middle East.
So you heard Bill Gates, you heard Warren Buffett, and again, when it comes to the innovation, Israelis tend to believe that they are at the center of planet Earth. But we have to be humble here, okay? So GE and Microsoft and Apple are not exactly Israeli brands. These are American, prime American companies. But nevertheless, all these companies, and especially in the life science sector, they have very prominent R&D officers and centers in the country of Israel. So if you walk to places such as the high-tech park of Herzliya, near Haifa or Jerusalem, there are multiple international very strong companies that have their R&D businesses, and also Intel, its core technology, it's really all the chips that were developed over the last 25 years were actually developed from their plants in Kiryat Gat and near Haifa. Let's look what the Global Competitive Report of the World Economic Forum, a very official and a very prestigious report that appears every year, has to tell about our country. So Israel's main strength remains its world-class capacity for innovation, which rests on innovative businesses that benefit from the presence of some of the world's best research institutions, support by the government, and a favorable financial environment for startups. Israel's excellent innovative capacity is reflected in the country's high number of patents. Its favorable financial environment has contributed to making Israel an innovative powerhouse. This is the World Economic Forum writes about Israel. And this is in the very last report of this year. This is a retinal graph. Everything that is outlier is good, so it's ranked high, and it composed of 12 economic pillars. And the best economic pillar of Israel is actually related to its innovation, the innovation capacity of this country. This is actually ranked number 3 in the world among 140 countries. And also the Global Innovation Index by Bloomberg last year ranked Israel as number 5, with R&D got the highest rank. So this is a very known phenomenon, and we should ask ourselves, what makes Israel or what makes Israelis such innovators? So when trying to think about this phenomenon, I've highlighted some of my thought about what are the causes. One would be that, Israelis are out-of-the-box thinkers. We tend to think that we are smart. We are not always smart, but we always think that we have a better idea. You tell us something, no, we know better. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. For a startup, it is a very good skill. There is a highly skilled workforce of engineers and scientists all over the country, very strong universities and colleges. We are problem-solving attitudes. We are not afraid of failure. We always think how to solve and tackle a problem when encountered. There is an overall entrepreneurial spirit all over the country, and there is a lot to do with the military and the technology background. The Israeli security and military technology has been a principal driver behind the development of the high-tech scene, the IT and cyber technologies, and many of the young people that finished their service in the army, and they are still very young, 23, 25, they have huge amount of experiences about technologies, and they can use their ideas and even their IPs in order to utilize it in the civilized world. So it could be medicine, it could be chips, it could be telephone, etc. So this is a very prominent cause, I believe, of why there are so many startup entrepreneurs in this country. And also we are very proud of our academic achievement. Over the last 8 years, 6 Israelis have won the Nobel Prize. This is the creme de la creme of the Israeli academy. And despite the fact that we always complain that there is not sufficient amount of budget and perhaps the achievements are not so great, still this is a sort of local pride. And also the office of the Israeli chief scientist is a great promoter for the Israeli startup scene. They have principal government tools to support R&D, unique Israeli law to encourage R&D, grants, magnet program, links between tech and the academic center and between Israel and abroad. And the life science is definitely defined as a preferred sector by this office. And finally, the Israeli chutzpah. Usually when we talk about chutzpah, this is a bad term. You know, it's being rude, being impolite. But for the startup scene, chutzpah means thinking really out of the box, having the guts to think something else, how to do it, how to overcome, and how not to be afraid of failure. So the chutzpah is very typical for Israeli startups. Let's talk a little bit about the Israeli life science industry. This is a very prominent sector within the innovation scene. There are more than 10,000 life science companies and more than 500 medical device companies. Medical device comprise 57% of the scene, biotechnology 18%, pharma 11%, the rest is some mobile IT, etc. The capital raised for the life science sector is about 1/4 of the total Israeli high-tech fund, and you see the number of Israeli life science companies has tripled over the last 10 years. There are almost 1,500 Israeli companies that deals with life science technologies. So overall, there is an ecosystem of innovation. When we talk about ecosystem of innovation, especially in the life science, this is a mix comprised of, one, the human capital, many ideas, the manpower, engineers, scientists, etc. There is a seasonal VC and agile community in order to provide the initial fund. Subsequently, it's becoming more difficult. And also the existing technology infrastructure, whether it's academia or pure industry, and also, as I highlighted before, the strong government support. Within the life science industry, cardiology is ranked the most active. It's certainly number one. Whether it's medical device, pharmaceutical, or biotechnology, cardiology is the leading sector within this scene. There are more than 100 active Israeli medical companies in cardiovascular medicine. And there have been major deals over the last decade with regard to Israel life science in general and in cardiology in particular. In 2004, you see the PVT that was bought by Edwards, and the rest is history. Now we are using the Sapien XT and the S3, but many of you might know that this is an Israeli technology, still produced and designed in Caesarea. The Medikite that was bought by St. Jude, a navigation system in the catheterization and EP, the Ventor